a Goldfish.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
John Dick and his sister Casey Goddard are suing their former employee, Lisa Mayer, for an unpaid loan and attorney fees.
Order. All rise. It's case number 140 on the calendar in the matter of Dick Goddard versus Mayer.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Mayer, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
You were a caregiver for the plaintiff's father,
Yes.
who was ill. And there came a time, Miss Mayer, well, let's go back a little bit. When did you start taking care of him?
14 months ago.
Don't look at them.
Yeah.
Don't look. Shh.
No.
Don't speak. Month
Right after
and year.
2018.
Month.
January. Oh, 2019. Sorry.
Not right.
After Christmas. We got through. I'm sorry.
Just look at me.
January.
You should.
It was January 8th, the 2019.
No, don't look at.
I'm sorry.
Let's start again. When did you start working for the plaintiff's father as a
January
caretaker?
29th, Ridge Nursing and Rehab.
And when did you, according to you, when did you leave his employ?
It was in around April 4th.
So in total, according to you, you worked in January, beginning, middle, or end?
Probably about the beginning-ish, middle.
Those are two different things. Beginning and middle are two different things. Was it the beginning of January or the end of January?
Beginning of January.
So you worked for him January, February, and March, 3 months.
Well, longer than that.
So what are you looking for?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I worked there. It was after Christmas. We interviewed almost a year.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let you compose yourself.
Okay.
Because I'm getting frustrated.
I'm sorry.
Because either there's something wrong with you, because I wouldn't let you take care, if you can't remember when you started to work, I wouldn't let you take care of a goldfish. Do you understand?
Okay.
All right.
It's fine.
You don't have to speak to anybody. You're not to speak to anybody.
Okay.
Just start to concentrate when you
Okay.
started to work and when you finished.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
In that 4 weeks, you're claiming that you worked $8,500 worth in that 1 month.
No,
From
ma'am.
That's what your claim is.
And later today,
Did you live there in June?
Yes, I did. Her husband had come down and got belligerent and in my face, and I told her what had occurred out.
You can't just keep your rent and move out.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
John Dick and his sister, Casey Goddard, claim former employee Lisa Mayer owes for a car and attorney fees. Lisa is countersuing for unpaid wages and slander.
Stay seated. So did you figure out when you started this job?
July 3rd, 2018.
And when did you leave the job?
April 4th.
On what date did you take money for a car from the plaintiffs?
March 2nd.
March 2nd of 2019.
Yes, 19.
And 4 weeks later, were you fired or did you quit?
I quit.
That's what this case is about. That you worked for the plaintiffs, taking care of their father for a period of now for 9 months. Then they gave you $3,500 because you didn't have transportation. And then 4 weeks later, you quit. Of course, not returning any of the $3,500 to them. Now, your counterclaim suggests that they owe you, in addition to the $3,500, which you say you were going to work off, were going, because I read your...
Yes, ma'am.
Here was that I was going to work it off. So in addition, in that 4 weeks, you're claiming that you worked off the $3,500 and an additional $5,000. So in that 1 month, because that's what you're counterclaiming for $5,000. So in that 1 month, you worked $8,500 worth in that 1 month.
No, ma'am.
That's what your claim is. I read your answer, and you said the idea was, it was sort of an advance. They agreed to give me $3,500 to get a new car. I continued working for them, and then I suffered a stroke, and I still managed to go to work. And I have lupus, so for a couple of days I asked off, and I didn't want to put their father at risk, and they didn't care about my well-being, so I quit.
That is not how it particularly went down. It was a couple of months prior to that my pay had went down. We had agreed to put me on salary, and someone had to be let go.
Just a second. Your salary went down a couple of months before.
I was getting paid hourly, and then overtime was kicking in, so my money had went up a good bit. Well, they had a family member leave, which put them kind of in a bind. So I said we'll go to salary so that we can get things figured out to
Just a second. So you agreed to take a salary?
Yes.
In what month?
In February.
So in February you agreed to take a salary?
Yes.
When in February?
This one is February 9th.
2/9, you agreed to take a salary in what amount?
For $600 a week.
Your Honor, that is not true.
I don't want to ask you anything. Please, let me do my job.
Yes, ma'am.
For $600 a week, did they pay you $600 a week?
For 2 weeks.
Okay, so they paid you $600, 2 weeks in February for the 9th, and then that week is the 18th, and the 18th to the 25th, which is almost the end of February. So they paid you in February $600. Then we come to March. Just a minute. Then we come to March. What happened in March?
We let someone go, and they were going over budget and trying to figure out how to maintain me and the other people working, trying to be feasible.
We're in March.
In March. And they said, we can't afford to pay you that. So we sat down, we went over numbers, which is right here where he wrote it all down, and it was dropped down to $400.
$400 a week?
A week.
Okay, so they were going to pay you $400.
$425, my bad, and $25 minus the car note.
Is it at that time that they gave?
Given to me on March 2nd, yes.
Was the same date?
It was around, it was in the same week. So, but not the same day.
week. So your salary was dropping down to $400, and the $25 was supposed to be payback for the car.
Yes.
So the car payment, which was $3,500, according to what you just told me, was a loan that you were going to pay back at the rate of $25 a week.
Yes.
So far, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay $425 a week in March?
Did I pay?
Yes. Did they pay?
They paid me.
They paid $400.
They paid me
$425
was taken out for the car.
Was taken out for the car.
Yes.
So it was $425 and you got $400?
I got $400.
Okay, so they took out $25 for the car.
Yes, ma'am.
So you paid $25 for the car.
Yes.
In the month of March.
Yes.
For a total of $100. Is
yes,
not an
ma'am.
answer.
I'm sorry.
And then you quit.
Yes, ma'am.
So then you owe them $3,400.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then why are we here?
We had agreed that because when I brought to them the fact that I could not survive on what we were doing and feasibly.
Just a second. When did you bring that to their attention?
I brought it
after
to
March.
In March, yes.
Well,
ma'am.
you made the deal.
The deal was I was supposed to be bumped back up in pay and had this stroke. And trying to maintain and keep my life going, taking care of their father, I was working.
You owe them $3,400. That's so far.
Yes.
That's so far. And they're also, since you quit, which I get, now you work for 4 weeks and then you quit. Now, they also say that they had to hire an attorney to get this case going. Are you back working for
No, ma'am.
South Bay? Where are you working?
I am not. I'm in college.
Who do you live with?
My fiance.
How do you support yourself?
I have financial aid from school.
Well, college is a very serious commitment.
It is a
Are
very
you telling me
serious
that college is easier than getting a job?
I can't, and guidelines, I'm not released from my doctor, so I cannot go get a job. They won't release me. I can't do lifting.
You owe them $3,400. Now, show me so far what it cost you to get an attorney to sue her for $3,400.
Your Honor, she actually made...
Would you do me a favor? Show me. And if what you're telling me is she made more than $100 in payments,
how
much?
$150 in payments.
Okay,
yes,
so
ma'am.
she owes you $3,350. Let me tell you, Miss Mayer, while
Yes, ma'am.
you may present a sympathetic picture, it's not an honest picture. Because if you're living with your boyfriend and you realize that you can't pay them back, sell the car.
That's not the...
Sell the car. That's what you do.
I had every intention of giving the money. I got word back as far as the job that I was previously at. They're saying that I took from them and that I wrecked the car. It's I don't know.
That's a whole jumble. You quit 4 weeks later after they gave you money for the car.
After I went to sit down and talk to them, I asked to have a meet and a talk, sit down and talk. And instead of being talked to about it was a verbal, I felt attacked. I had suffered from the stroke, told them, brought it to their attention that I can't make it. I have insurance to pay and everything else. I never wanted to leave their dad. I loved their dad very much. I loved them. It wasn't an issue. It was just a give. I was giving everything I had, and then when I brought it to their attention that this was not...
They weren't caring enough.
No.
That's what happens, Miss Mayer. When you loan someone money, and if the person can't pay back the loan, or it becomes difficult, they will always find a reason that it's the person who made the loan. It's that important to them. They disrespected my aunt. They disrespected me. They called my child a name. They weren't sympathetic enough with my physical condition. There's always a reason that a delinquent borrower will rationalize why they haven't paid the loan. All I said to you was, if you found them to be not compassionate people about your physical situation, sell the car and give them the money. Okay. You don't quit and not pay them and then say, well, they weren't sympathetic enough, I had a stroke, and I really couldn't take care of their father. Then
I could take care of him.
Well,
I did a great job taking care of him. There's
Your Honor.
not one. I could have stayed and continued.
What are you giving me here?
On the back, there should be a check on there that we had to write to that law firm.
$3,700.
Your Honor,
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Wait,
she,
do you understand what I just said? You don't have to say anything to me.
Yes, ma'am.
I issued a judgment in your favor for the full amount that you're requesting, $3,700. You count the claims dismissed. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It is what it is.
Judge Judy's fair and she's smart.
Because they loaned me the money.
She pretty much just left us high and dry.
It's just a disagreement.
We're pretty sad that this situation, and we got duped.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stevens versus DeCorley, step forward.
Tamara Stevens is suing her former friend, Crystal DeCorley, for unpaid rent, property damage, and a haircut. Crystal has a countersuit for property damage and slander.
Miss Stevens, I've read your complaint, and it appears to me that you and Mr. Corley were friends.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a history together of some substance abuse, but you have maintained, according to you, sobriety since for a very long time. You had a rental home. You were confident that Mr. Corley had maintained her sobriety, and you decided to let her rent this rental property. Is it a house?
It's a house, yes.
And it's not far from where you live?
No, it's only 2 houses down.
And how large is it?
It's 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath.
And who did you live there with?
My daughter and at one point my 2 nieces.
And what was your rent?
$500 a month.
When did you move in?
June of 2017. I gave a $500 deposit and paid $500 a month rent.
And when did you move out?
This past weekend.
Just this past weekend?
Yes. She was supposed to be out June 16th. I evicted her June 16th. She was supposed to be out July 16th. They both agreed to allow me to stay until Sunday.
Where is the house?
The house is just 2 houses down.
When did you do a walkthrough on the house?
We did a walkthrough yesterday morning, and then I gave her 24-hour notice, and we did a walkthrough last week also.
She moved out yesterday. When did you do the walkthrough?
Oh, she moved out Sunday.
Sunday.
So I did Monday morning.
When did you file your lawsuit?
I filed my lawsuit 2 days after I filed my my eviction.
You filed your small claims lawsuit after?
Before my rent was even...
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's instant justice and there's ridiculously instant justice. And you have to serve somebody a summons and give them notice. That clearly didn't happen.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tamara Stevens says former friend Crystal DeCorley owes for rent, property damage, and a haircut.
Okay, you filed your small claims lawsuit. When you filed your eviction, I'd like to see the lawsuit that you filed.
I had to do an amended one after I found out more damage. Would you like that one also?
When did you find more damage?
For the 17th, or what date was it that I did this? The 18th. It was after I did the 24-hour, I gave her the advance notice, and I did the walk.
Many of us were there when I moved in. I'm letting you know that I'm not happy about this case and the damage. There's instant justice and there's ridiculously instant justice. And if you move out on a Sunday in Missouri and on Tuesday you're on a plane coming to Los Angeles to try a lawsuit on Wednesday and you have to serve somebody a summons and give them notice, that clearly didn't happen. Not if she moved out on Sunday. So I'm not hearing any evidence with regard to damage. Zero.
Okay.
Zippity-doo-dah. Now, you evicted her in what month?
I evicted her in June.
Had she paid rent up until June? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, ma'am. She paid May, and then June she told me she was not going to pay rent. Because I was threatened with eviction by her husband.
That's all right. Did you live there in June?
Yes, I did.
And you did not pay rent?
Her husband had come down and got belligerent and in my face, threatening me with eviction, and 2 days prior to her asking for the rent, and I told her what had occurred and that I would just keep my rent and move out since I was tired of being
You can't just keep your rent and move out. You didn't pay in June, and you also lived there in July.
And justly, I've been prior to me even moving in.
Listen to me. I'm not taking any counterclaim from you. Zero.
Okay.
Because you two are not going to be able to demonstrate to me that you served her with a counterclaim and gave her appropriate notice. So the only thing that I will hear is rent for June and part of July. You have the following alternative. If you want to press the entire case, which includes damage, I will dismiss the case without prejudice, and you can go back to court in Missouri.
Well, there was other rent also. She owed me rent from January to where I let her pay $200 and she was supposed to pay me $300 with taxes, and I have proof of it. Also.
Fine. Okay. I will hear a claim for rent in June and any other rent that you claim she owes you.
Okay.
Because that lawsuit you said you filed at the same time you filed the eviction.
I did. And for the bed bugs also.
Understand this very carefully. I am hearing rent.
Just rent. Okay.
Period.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, did you short her?
It was in February, and
the answer is yes.
Yes. We had come to an agreement. I have since also gave her $100 of that money back. That is true.
So you owe her $200?
Yes.
And you owe her for the month of June $500?
Well, my rent isn't due until the 16th of the month. On the 10th. I have the lease right here. According to the eviction notice, it's due on the 16th.
You lived there the month of June. Did you pay any rent in June?
No.
Then you owe for the month of June. That's $700. $200 for the month of February and $500 now. Did you give her security deposit?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How much?
$500.
You are not requesting that back?
It was mentioned in my counterclaim, I believe, and then she had the bed bugs issue, and I honestly felt like that $500 deposit could have been used as my last month rent. That's why I chose to try to get out before.
No, you don't talk about any security deposit. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Thank you very much.
What about the hairdo she owes me for, ma'am?
We're done.
That was a gift. That was a gift. What about the damages that I lived through?
Boys are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The warning.
Never taken somebody whose own parent kicked him out, which is what you did.
Yes, ma'am.
The regret.
The room was trashed. How did it get trashed?
Judge Judy.
It is what it is. Huge holes all in the wall. There were repairs that needed to be done to that house before I ever moved into it. All my brand new wood floors I just had refinished are disgusting. They didn't get their way. So it's going to take a lot of work. Oh, we'll never be friends again. I will never, ever rent a family or friends ever again.
Her daughter can't settle down.
The two older children are fathered by one man, and the two younger children are fathered by another man.
2 years ago, you had a different boyfriend. Talk about dysfunction.
And she's still on the move.
I had a different boyfriend when we moved into this house.
You understand that that's not particularly good for your children.
Yes, ma'am.
Especially when you have a revolving door of boyfriends in your house. I mean, you do it anyway. That makes you pretty selfish.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Raylene Eppert is suing her daughter, Melissa Ray Bowen, for unpaid utility bills.
Order. All rise. It's case number 10 on the calendar, the matter of Eppert versus Bowen.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Bowen, Miss, and how many?
I have 4.
How old are they?
17, 15, 11, and 5.
Is your current boyfriend the father of any of those children?
No, ma'am.
When did you ask your mother to put a utility bill in your name?
I never asked her. It was an agreement between her and my grandmother.
Did you move in with your grandmother?
Yes, I did.
When?
I believe May of 2016, 17.
Did she have a house?
She didn't know. We moved into a house together. She was living with my mother.
Okay, so let's go back. You and your grandmother moved into a place at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandmother had been living with your mother?
Yes.
For how long?
For years. I don't know exactly how long.
And in 2016, you had a 3-year-old, a 9-year-old, and did you have the same boyfriend or no boyfriend?
I had a different boyfriend when we moved into this house.
You understand that that's not particularly good for your children?
Mm-hmm.
You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I mean, you do it anyway. That makes you pretty selfish.
I don't think I'm selfish.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. If you have 4 children, none of whom are fathered by your current boyfriend. 2 years ago, you had a different boyfriend who was also not the father of your children. Mm-hmm. That's pretty selfish. That goes like this with your kids. Okay, so you moved in with your grandmother into a place at the same time. Was there a lease?
Yes.
In whose name was the lease?
It was in both of our names.
Is this your grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you stand to your last name?
Reet.
Now, when you moved into a house with your granddaughter, did you ever have a conversation with your daughter about putting the utility bill in your name?
No, I was told at a later date that's what had happened.
Told by whom?
I was told by my granddaughter and confirmed later by my daughter.
That it was put in your daughter's name?
Yes, she set it up.
When you were living with your granddaughter, were you sharing the utility bill with her? You splitting it down the middle?
No, I paid a portion of the rental agreement, and then I paid for food and other incidentals there.
What was the rent on the house?
When we first moved in, it was about $1,100 or $1,200.
And how much did you pay?
Don't remember, because there were 3 of us, and it was split between myself, Melissa, and her other boyfriend that lived there. I think it was around $500.
Were all of her 4 children living with her?
Pardon me?
Were all of her children living with her?
They lived there with her, yes.
Were there 4 children in 2016 living with your granddaughter?
Yes.
They were off and on living there. My ex-husband and I have split custody, so 1 week on, 1 week off. They were not there the whole month.
Of the 2 older
I didn't ask
children.
where they were the whole month. They slept there. Where did they go to school from?
By their dad's house.
Well, if they went to school from their father's house, that means that they slept at their father's house during the week, unless he lives in the same school district.
I would drive her 2 older children, not the 2 younger children. The 2 older children are fathered by one man, and the 2 younger children are fathered by another man.
So the now 15 and 17-year-old would split their time.
Yes.
But not the 2 younger ones.
I helped arrange their child custody, and they had... Okay.
That's all I asked.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just figuring out the financials. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 of you full-time.
Mm-hmm.
You, your then boyfriend, not the current boyfriend, and 2 of your children full-time, 2 of your children part-time, on the one hand, paying rent, and then your grandmother.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you paid a portion of the rent. How much did you pay?
Around $500.
Not around. I don't want to know around. How much did you give her every month?
Honestly, it was 500 and something, and I can't remember the dollar amount.
How much did your grandmother give you every month towards rent?
$500.
Well, that should cover her portion of the rent and also utilities. You're 6 people. She's 1 person. Okay. Who actually wrote out the check for utilities?
We paid it online.
Who
But it
paid
came out of
online?
my account after she gave me the cash.
Great. Now, which month didn't your daughter pay?
July and August.
Why?
I have my August bill. She turned off the power the day my grandmother moved out the house, but I was paid in full up until she moved out. And then I started the bills on August 1st.
Just a second. Can you show me a statement you were held responsible for?
So my name's on the top, and that's her address. That's just the power. The gas is right here, and it's not as clear as how they broke that one down.
Just a second.
Where she lived.
Did you pay this bill?
Yes, ma'am.
You have proof that you paid this bill?
Yeah, they If you flip it over, what they did was I have a payment plan, and what they do is they pull it right out of my payment plan.
I have a bank statement
shows
proving that she did fraud on my account to attempt to supposedly pay said bills without my knowledge.
Okay. Did she do that?
Huh?
No. Was she successful in trying to pay?
No, I stopped the payments.
Was she successful in trying to pay it out of your account? The answer is no. You stopped it.
I stopped the payments.
Okay, so you owe her $332.10.
But what about my counterclaim for
$332.
the false statement?
Just a second. I haven't gotten to your counterclaim yet, which is going to be very interesting. Talk about dysfunction all over the place. All right, so let me see if I understand your counterclaim. So far, you owe your mother $332.10.
Excuse me,
This is your
ma'am.
counterclaim.
There's two bills, power and gas. So the other one's $34.18. There's two separate documents you have that are stapled, each separate stapled.
Oh, okay. Got it. $366. Now, then a utility bill. Forget hacking into your account. You turn that back. Filing a false CPS and child abuse charge. Okay, so let me see if I understand what you're suggesting in that. What you're suggesting is that you didn't want your grandmother living with you anymore because, according to you, the FBI was investigating her.
They were.
So you told her to leave.
Yes.
In retaliation for that, your grandmother called your mother and told your mother that your current boyfriend was abusing your children. That's what you said.
Yes, and we were clear.
As a result of that, your mother called for a police check, which resulted in a Child Protective Services investigation.
No, she called CPS after we were cleared because the cops wouldn't do anything. And it's right here in the police statement that I have.
Perfectly reasonable. Perfectly reasonable. So let me understand this. Your mother gets a call from her mother, who lives with you, who tells her daughter that your boyfriend, is that you?
Yes.
Was abusing your children. Your mother has several choices. She can ask you, is your boyfriend abusing the children? Which you would respond, absolutely not.
I told her no.
Just a second. That's akin to doing nothing. Or she can call I understand from my mother that there may be abuse going on in the house.
No, ma'am, that is not what happened.
Your Honor,
that's what you say what happened.
She had come down and asked to see the kids at 11:30 at night, and I wouldn't let her see them due to them being asleep. She told me then that if I wouldn't let her see the kids, that she would call the cops to do a welfare check. They showed up about midnight 30, woke up my kids, questioned everybody, pulled us out of the house, and we were cleared that night. My grandma admitted in the police report that no abuse was done.
Let me read to you what you say. Your mother, in her statement, by the way, says, in August of 2018, I received an unsettling call from the house. That, I assume, is the unsettling call from her mother, advising her that something was going on with the boyfriend. I assume this boyfriend, since it's now 2018 and you've moved on. Your answer says, in June, I discovered the FBI was investigating my grandmother. So I wanted her out of the house and away from my children. My grandmother didn't want to leave and told my mother that my boyfriend was abusing my children. That's what you wrote.
Yes, ma'am.
That's when my mother decided to believe her. Put your hand down. And called the police to do a welfare check. That's exactly what I would have done. Exactly what I would have done. That's what I would hope that every person would do, especially when you have a revolving door of boyfriends in your house.
I do not have a revolving door of boyfriends.
You owe your mother $366. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished.
Parties are excused. Miss, step out.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Skiba versus Wolf. Step forward.
Kathleen Skiba is suing her former friend, Joshua Wolf, for money owed for a Crown Victoria.
Mr. Wolf, what kind of work do you do?
I do construction.
Do you work for yourself or for a company?
I work for myself.
Who do you live with?
I live with my son.
And he goes to school?
Yeah.
Now, you used to work as a caretaker for the plaintiff.
Yes.
From what year to what year?
I was not year to year. I worked for Miss Skiba for one job. It was fixing her toilet and installing her furnace.
And you did that when?
Last October.
When did you start to rent her home from her?
October 1st.
Of last year?
2018, yes.
And did you have a written lease with her?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
It is a land contract. It's not a lease.
It's a land contract, ma'am, not a lease.
I see it. So what you were doing is you were renting to buy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you both signed this rent to buy, and the contract was made September 4th, 2018.
Yes.
And you were buying the property for $30,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paying interest at 6% a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the monthly payments were $350.
Yes, ma'am.
All very neatly in here. Now, during the course of this rent-to-purchase agreement, you were paying her rent every month?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
When did he not pay you rent?
He paid 2 months' rent since last year. I received 2 payments that my mother got, and that's it. And then one...
Do you have, just a second, since October, when you moved in,
yes,
do you have proof that you made payments on the rent?
I do.
I'd like to see them.
They don't have the evidence with me.
Well, that's what I need.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The agreement was that he was going to drive you around, and in exchange for that, you would give him the car.
Nothing was ever given to him.
I will determine whether you sold him the car or gave him the car. That's what we're here for.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kathleen Skiba says her former friend and tenant, Joshua Wolf, stiffed her for stolen tools and false allegations of domestic abuse.
Do you have proof that you made payments on the rent?
I do.
I'd like to see them.
They don't have the evidence with me.
Well, that's what I need.
Okay.
I have that I have already took him to court, the evidence that he hasn't paid it and that he has to pay.
I'd like to see it. When was the last payment that you received for rent?
Well, I actually told him I wasn't going to take no more payments.
No.
The last payment I got from him was in January.
Of what year?
Of 19, this year.
I'm not interested in that. Hey.
Okay.
We have October, November, and December. 3 months' rent was before January. Now, did you receive 3 months' rent? October, November, and December.
3 months, correct.
In what month did you advise Mr. Wolf that you had to move back into the house?
I advised him that I was coming back there.
What day and month?
It was around the end of February. I was really sick from where I was living. I had to get my lungs flushed.
Just a sec. I'm not asking you for your story.
All right.
In what month did you tell him that you were coming back to the house?
February.
Now.
End of February.
February.
Correct.
Now, this is what the case is about. It is your claim that you came back to the house and that when you came back to the house, you sold him an old car.
Yes.
You sold him the car for $1,250. He hasn't paid you for the car. The defendant says you didn't sell him the car. You came back to the house, lived in the house. It was supposed to be only for a week because you weren't well. You were supposed to look for an apartment. The agreement was that he was going to drive you around and he would come to where you were and take you back to the house. And in exchange for that, you would give him the car. That's what you said, and you actually signed the title over to him.
Yeah,
that would be
handed
a yes.
him the title.
That would be a yes.
Yes.
Now, when he rented your house, in what state was the house?
Michigan.
And where did you move to?
I was staying in Livonia, Michigan, and I came there because I was needing a surgery.
No, listen to me.
Ma'am, nothing was ever given to him.
Listen to my questions.
Gotcha.
I will determine whether you sold him the car or gave him the car. That's what we're here for.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I picked him up and he came and stayed the night at my house and we drove back in the morning.
So he actually stayed over.
He stayed over.
Working for you to help you move.
Right, because I'm disability, ma'am.
Listen, that's unfortunate for you, but as far as the law is concerned, that means and I don't care.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kathleen Skiba says her former friend and tenant, Joshua Wolf, stiffed her on the purchase of a car. Joshua's countersuing for stolen tools and false allegations of domestic abuse.
Now, did the defendant come to your home where you were living to bring you back to the house that he was renting to own in the car?
No, I picked him up in my car.
You drove?
I drove in my Camaro.
Just. You drove, you picked him up. That's what you started to tell me.
Yes.
What month was that? February?
Yes.
So you drove from where you were in February and picked him up. And then what did you do after you picked him up?
We drove back the next day and
You drove back?
with the car.
Just a second.
And my U-Haul.
You picked him up and drove him to where you were staying. That's a yes or a no? Where you had rented a U-Haul.
Yes.
That's a yes or a no?
That would be yes.
And how long did it take, once you picked him up, to drive back? How many hours or miles was
They
it?
stayed the night. We left first thing in the morning, about 6 hours.
So he drove back with you 6 hours to where you were. You stayed at his home, owned the house. So
Well,
you were staying.
I was renting where I was living. So I picked him up and he came and stayed the night at my house and we drove back in the morning.
Just a second. So we actually stayed over.
He stayed over.
Working for you to help you move.
Right, because I'm disability, ma'am.
Listen, that's unfortunate for you, but as far as the law is concerned, that means and I don't care.
Right.
You picked him up, drove him back 6 hours to your house with his son?
Yes.
Yes. The two of them drove back 6 hours. Both of them slept over at your house, helped you load up the U-Haul from the house, then drove back to the house that he was renting to own that you said you had to stay in for a while, or whatever. Because your lawsuit has to do with $1,250 for a car. All I want you to show me is proof of how much you paid the defendant and his son to move you.
Well...
No.
I don't have anything because they said they would do it for him never giving me any rent, basically, because he never pays me nothing. And he stayed there also.
No, that's just a second.
That's what August.
Just a second. That's what you told me. You told me he moved in October and he paid October, November, and December's rent. And you gave him the car in exchange for moving you 12 hours with his son. Not only him, he brought his son to move your son. We're done with your case. Listen
Would you
to
like
me.
to see the
We're
pictures of the legal activity
We're-
going in my house? That's why I left.
Listen to me. We are done
He's
with
still
your
in
case.
my home.
I don't care.
He owes me thousands.
Listen to me. I don't care.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Your lawsuit here has to do with a car.
That he
period.
owes me.
And I find that car, as he indicates, since you gave him no money to move you in February...
But he also lived in my home for months with no money also, ma'am, before.
Very good. You have title to the car?
Yes, ma'am.
It's your car. Now
he can pack the boxes in it and leave my home. That's great.
Now, you have a counterclaim for your tools.
Yes, I do, ma'am.
Very good. You still living in the house?
Yes, I am.
Show me the last rent check you sent to her.
Actually, I don't have the last rent check because I told her...
Then your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done. Over.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
And get out of my house when we get home because I have an attorney and he will be out real soon.
It's unfortunate that I left my receipts inside my folder, inside my backpack.
Because he won't pay. He's still not paying. It's been almost a year.
Because she's full of fraudulent everything. I paid every bill except the last 3 months of that house.
He was just supposed to pay me. I'm not going to give a stranger a car.
She threw away over $5,000 worth of my tools. That's my livelihood.
Oh, he had drugs all growing in my house and he got rid of them and...
Growing marijuana? It's recreational in Michigan.
Just disgusting. Pig.
I won't do nothing else without signed documentation.
I just want him out, and I'm going to get him out as soon as I get home.
One of your children ran into some financial difficulty.
Exes agreed to help clean up their son's mess.
You and your son had a falling out, and you changed your mind about paying.
Right.
Now Dad gets nothing but dirty looks.
I was not notified.
Yeah, well, I don't believe that. There's no question. You knew that they had had a major blow-up. Don't look at him.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This
is suing her ex-husband, Paul King, for breaching their agreement to help their son pay his rent.
Order. All rise. It's case number 4 on the calendar in the matter of King versus King.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. King, you and Mr. King have been divorced, according to what I read, for over 20 years.
Yes.
And you have grown children.
Yes.
One of your children ran into some financial difficulty.
Yes.
I gather that's not an unusual occurrence for this particular child.
He got hurt at work and was on disability, and yeah.
And is he married?
He is.
And his wife is pregnant?
She is.
They were unable to pay their rent.
Exactly.
And some bills. So you contacted, according to what I read, you contacted your ex-husband.
Ryan contacted my mom and asked my mom for help.
Okay, this is your son?
Yes.
That's your mother?
Yes.
So, to speed things up, he asked your mom for help. Your mom called you?
Called Paul.
Called his father?
His dad, yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So your former mother-in-law called you and said, what's your son's name?
Ryan.
Ryan is in some difficulty.
Yes.
On what date was
These text messages, I believe it was like maybe Thursday, the 11th of April.
Do you remember what date it was that you called?
My daughter just reminded me it was the 12th.
Friday.
Okay. And what did you say when your former mother-in-law called you?
Well, she originally suggested splitting it 4 ways between my mom and me and Janet and her.
How much was your son looking for?
His rent, I think, is $1,700. I think half of it was $877, according to Janet's record. So.
Okay. So your former mother-in-law wanted you to come up with $877, either between you and your mother. She was going to kick in some money with her daughter, I assume. And that was on the 12th.
Correct.
And what did you tell her?
I kind of reluctantly agreed.
Did you agree on the 12th, is my question.
I did.
And then what happened, Mr. King?
Following that, I can't remember exactly how this transpired, but there was a text string that started.
Do you have that?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it, because this is what it is alleged. It is alleged that based upon your agreement to pay the $877, your former wife paid the whole amount of rent, and then it is alleged that you and your son had a falling out and you changed. Issue is whether or not your former wife, Mrs. King, paid your son's rent before or after you advised her that you changed your mind. Because you understand, once you have an agreement with her and she acts on that agreement, then you're bound.
Correct.
But if she had not acted on that agreement and paid the money, and if you notify her before that you've changed your mind, she had an opportunity to back out and say, I'm just going to give you $877. Do you understand?
Yes.
Great.
Sorry for some of the language in there.
No. I'm not looking for the emails. You had an argument with your son on the same date, Friday, April 12th. That's what this says, at 5:45 in the p.m. is when the email chain started with your son.
There should be a text message in there to Janet saying, you guys are on your own, I'm not going to pay into it.
Okay. Well, was this to Janet?
Yes.
And this says, you and your mom. How do I know this was to Janet? It says you and your mom will have to figure out what you're going to do or not do for Ryan.
Does it show?
Oh, you and your mom.
Right.
I got you and your, this is to Janet.
Right.
You and your mom.
Right.
Are going to have to, I'm not doing any more, I'm out. So this was at 6:44 in the p.m. on Friday, April 12th.
Correct.
Okay. Now, Miss King,
yes.
What you have to do is show me the date and time that you transferred the money from you and your mother to your son. The date and the time you transfer the money between you, your mother, and your son. And if you don't have that, you have no case.
The money from the bank?
Yes.
Well,
unless what you're telling me is that you transfer the money to your son.
No, I didn't.
After or before you received your former husband's text.
I never received a text saying that he was out. Never once, because I was blocked. As soon as this all happened, he blocked my phone, he blocked Ryan's phone, and he blocked my mom's phone.
Not before. He sent this. Listen to me.
I don't have that because it didn't go through. Ryan paid it on with my debit card on a app, renter's app.
Just show
I don't
everybody.
have that.
Just a second.
Okay.
What you're going to have to do is everybody keeps records, everybody, of the dating apps.
I have. There it is, and if she could just slide like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bert, I'm not touching it. Do you understand that I'm not touching it? Well,
It has the date, but it does not show the time.
could you scroll over there?
That's the second page.
Oh, the check was returned to you.
It was. I'm sorry.
Just a second. It was returned for insufficient funds with a check charge of $25. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay. And that was done on April the 18th?
Yes.
Don't move with that thing. So now the check was returned on April 18th, and your son did not get the money on the 18th.
True.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And the money was resent somehow.
Correct.
But you had already been notified on the 12th that your former husband, yes, you were.
I
You were
was not notified.
Well, I don't believe that. Let's start out with that. You were notified. Either he has a text, but you were either notified by your son, by your mother. Between the 12th and the 18th, there isn't a question in my mind that you were notified that your former husband going to contribute towards this rent. There's no question in my mind about this. You were in discussion with your son because your son must have called you and said to you, your check bounced at some point on the 18th. Well, if your check bounced, then you had to have some sort of a discussion with him, which was, I had a big fight with my father. He blocked me from his phone. All right, well, that would be a ding-a-ling. Then you would have to say.
But that didn't happen. Ryan did not have a conversation with his dad. I mean, his dad blocked me and blocked him and blocked my mother's phone.
That would have...
He never sent me that text,
Mrs. King,
and he never
Mrs.
told
King,
me.
Miss King.
Paul, you're going to tell her that you blocked me and you did
No,
not get that
just a
text?
second.
He's lying. Is it funny?
There is no question in my mind that he blocked you, he blocked your son, and he blocked your mother. There's no question in your mind that that happened. There's also no question in your mind that you knew by the 18th, when your check was returned for insufficient funds, that your former husband, you knew by the 18th, when you reissued the check, if you ever did your mother reissue a check?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
The
18th, you knew that they had had a major blow-up. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
That's a fair statement.
Correct.
Don't speak to him. Listen, don't speak to him. Stand up. Did your father ever co-sign for a car for you?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
I don't know the exact date. It
Give
was
me a
probably
year.
2 years ago.
Give me a year.
2 years ago.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
34 years old, and you needed your father to co-sign for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. And when he co-signed for you, that meant that you were going to pay for the car.
Correct.
He was just co-signing because you had bad credit.
Correct.
Did you end up paying for the car?
He paid.
Just a second. That's either a yes or a no.
I made payments on the car, correct.
No. Did you pay for the car?
I made payments for the car.
Who else made payments for the car?
He made a large payment.
And how much was a large payment?
Without my knowledge, he made this payment. I don't know what the total of the payment was. I don't know what the total of the payment was.
Well, you had to have owed a lot of money.
It was
just a second.
Okay.
Let's play.
Yep.
Not yup. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You had to have owed a lot of money on the car for your father to have made a large payment. And if what you're telling me is I don't know how much it is, then you're more irresponsible than your mother thinks you are.
Okay.
You got a child on the way?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any more children?
No.
Just one?
Yes, ma'am.
On the way. So you're responsible enough to have a child. Then you should be responsible enough to know how much your father paid off on a car that he just co-signed for because you had bad credit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He just did it because you would be without a car and he would be without credit.
The car was not in risk of being taken away.
Well, then he just made you a gift? Is that what you're telling me?
That's the way it seemed to me.
Well, then he's a really nice guy.
And later today,
I yanked the little dog out of its mouth, and she kind of fell back down, and he decided to eat her up some more. And so I finally yanked her up, and she flew into my arms.
Miss Urell, it's not what you say in your complaint.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Janet King says ex-husband Paul King reached their agreement to help their son pay his rent during a time of need.
Now, how much was a large payment? How much?
$7,000.
So your father paid off $7,000, and he paid off $7,000 in about what year?
2018.
Is that because you asked him?
No.
He just did it because you would be without a car, and he would be without credit.
The car was not in risk of being taken away.
Well, then...
That's the way it seemed to me, yes, ma'am.
Well, then he's a really nice guy.
I would not argue that.
Just a second, that he's a really nice guy.
Not
he paid
arguing.
off $7,000 to his 33-year-old son of a car that you were supposed to pay off. Then it sounds like he's a really nice guy.
Not arguing that.
Great. I'm glad you're not arguing that. Now you can sit down. Just want to let you know I'm not sympathetic. Your case is dismissed. We're done. So's your counterclaim. That's silly.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope everybody's happy.
He did not send me a text message saying he was not going to pay.
Just got to evaluate things as they come along.
He's a liar, and I have nothing to say to him.
I love him. I only wish the best for him.
I will not ever go and ask him anything in the future.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Urel versus Davis. Step forward.
Marlene Urel is suing William Davis for vet bills and punitive damages after his unleashed dog attacked her Pomeranian.
Miss Urel, I don't know exactly what you're suing for. It's your claim that the defendant's dog bit your dog. You took the dog to the vet. The vet said your dog required certain treatment. You didn't have the money for the treatment. There was some sort of an arrangement reached with the vet that if you surrendered the dog, which is how you got the dog as a rescue, and that they would do the surgery. Before I even get to the substantive part of who initiated this fighting, did you pay any vet bill?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to see what you paid and proof that you paid it.
May I approach? Sure.
No, give it to Bird.
Thank you.
What was the date of this alleged incident with the defendant's dog?
It was February 9th, 2019, at about 4:40 p.m.
Okay. So the first time you took the dog to the vet was 2 days later.
Yes.
This says that on the 11th, the dog was euthanized.
I took the dog to the veterinarian.
No, I'm just reading you what it says.
Yes.
And they charged $125 for that. And then it says refund Visa or MasterCard.
Yes.
Explain that to me.
The veterinarian, I took her into the veterinarian after she had survived the dog attack, but she was not walking. I took her to the veterinarian, and they said...
Don't tell me what they said.
Okay.
Just tell me what this is. Was the dog euthanized or not?
No, the dog...
You didn't pay this.
Correct. I was refunded $125.
I only want you to tell me what you paid to the vet.
There was $88. It's on there. And there was also a $3 body disposal fee, which I was not refunded. But I was refunded the $125 because I couldn't So I paid $88 for an urgent care and $3 for body disposal, but I was refunded $125 euthanasia.
I want you to show me from your Visa bill how much you actually paid the vet. I asked you, how much did you pay the vet? You sent me up these two bills. That's not true. You didn't pay the vet this money because it was refunded.
There should be 2 pages there.
I have 2 pages. Okay. You gave me both pages of money that you say you paid.
So the first...
And the first one you didn't pay because the dog wasn't euthanized.
I did pay it, but they refunded it to me. That's why it says
All I want to know is, from you, how much you paid the vet.
I paid the vet $91.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
February 9th, I took Spitzy outside. We were in a common area of my complex, sitting on a bench, not standing outside, not looking at the rain. You and your dog were, according to you, were sitting on a bench.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Marlene Urel says William Davis's unleashed dog attacked and mauled her Pomeranian.
Now, I'm ready to hear the story.
Okay, on February 9th, 2019, which was a Saturday, it had finally stopped raining where I live, and so my dog wanted to go for a walk. And she looked out the window and did her dance, just took her out for a walk.
Just tell me,
Okay.
your dog wanted to go out for a walk. You had gotten the dog a year before as a rescue, correct?
Correct.
And you took the dog out, and?
And we stood in front of my place about 6 feet from the stairs, and she was about 5 feet in front of me. When we were just standing there, you know, she didn't want to walk, she just wanted to enjoy, no rain, and I did too, and we were just standing there. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flash of yellow scrabbling and crawling at the floor, and the next thing I knew, I didn't even see what happened. There was this dog, a yellow lab mix, and it was eating my little dog. And my little dog turned up and looked at me, and her little face was turned down so horribly. And I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even know what was going on. And I was all completely alone until then. And I started to scream and scream and scream. And I guess the dog just kind of looked at me, and then I yanked the little dog out of its mouth, and she kind of fell back down, and he decided to eat her up some more, so he was chewing her belly, and so I finally yanked her up, and she flew into my arms.
Okay,
and
it's not what you say, Miss Urell, it's not what you say in your complaint. The story that you just told me is not what you swore to in your complaint. I'm just telling you that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, February 9th, I took Spitzy outside. We were in a common area of my complex, sitting on a bench. That's the first paragraph of what you told me. Not standing outside, not looking around, not looking at the rain. You and your dog were, according to you, sitting outside in a common area. You were sitting on a bench.
You know what? Sometimes I would sit there, you know, with the dog, but I kind of thank God that I was not sitting there that day.
You want to tell me your version of what happened, Mr. Davis?
Yes, Your Honor. There is no bench in that common area, for the record. So what happened was her dog and she were there in the common area. I was around the corner playing with my dog. Her dog was barking, so my dog runs around.
Why don't you don't speak?
So I ran after my dog and come around to her dog biting my dog and my dog retaliating. And basically, it's an 80-pound lab and a 10-pound Pomeranian. Didn't go very well for the little dog, and you know, it's not good. Well, that's what happened.
Yeah, you have to pay a vet bill.
Yes, I will gladly pay her vet bill.
Which she paid $91 for.
Yep.
You have to pay not $5,000, which is what she wants, but you have to pay her vet bill.
Yes.
Did you offer to pay her vet bill?
On numerous occasions.
And what did she say when you offered to pay her vet bill?
She said I owe her more than the $91 I owe her for her adoption fees and her vaccination costs.
$91. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm still amazed that people can lie in court and get away with it.
She has a history of suing people in our complex.